This is VOCM Open Line. Call now to get in the queue. 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now. Here's your host, Brian Callahan.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Open Line. I am Brian Callahan, as the big voice says, and David Williams, of course. Dave, why are you not in that intro? I'm beside myself. Dave Williams producing the show and taking your calls to get in the queue and on the air. The numbers to do that, of course, are 709-273-5211, 1-888-590-VOCM. That's 8626 outside the general metro St. John's area. And we'll also take your texts, of course, to the 273-5211 number and your emails at openline@vocm.com. But, of course, we'd prefer you call the open line. And as mentioned, we'll even sing a song about it tomorrow live here on the program, so you'll want to tune in for that. And I have to say, a lot of, I'll call it relief, I think, is the best. When I saw people interacting yesterday, witnessed while out and about, the first legitimate warm breezes yesterday was, in a word, palpable. It was beautiful. First one of the year, really, that I'd felt. And I also even spotted a few lemonade stands. I'll tell you, if they ever get a debit machine, I'm broke. And the good with the bad, of course, also one of the first forest fires of the season down around these parts, around Torbay, the Wine Gap Road area. Fortunately extinguished before it could get out of hand, but there's your shot across the bow for this summer forest season. Already, the first little bit of lick of warmth and winds, and look what happens. So that's a great reminder to please be vigilant as we head into the nicer climes for the summer. Nice again today. Bring it on. Could get 20 here in the metro area in the sun before she clouds over. Maybe a bit of rain tonight and tomorrow. Okie dokie, quick check. Well, sorry to the Habs fans. A little bit of a back to reality for the Habs last night versus the Sabres in Game 1 of their second round playoff series. Fell behind early, got into some penalty trouble. We can talk about the penalties if you want. And then playing catch-up then all night. 28 shots on net, though, so compared to the 9 they had in the Game 7 win, they've showed they can do that. But Lyon, the Sabres goalie, was up to the task. So they had their chances, got it back to 4-2, but that was the final score. Game 2 tomorrow night. And, you know, for all the love we give Alex Newhook, and deservedly so, let's also show some love for Josh Norris, Sabres center. And the son of St. John's native, Dwayne Norris, who I covered back in the day when he was scoring big goals himself for the national junior team. Scored the gold medal winner in '89, member of the silver medal team at Lillehammer in '94. Went on to have a great hockey career himself. And he's now the director of hockey operations for the TPH Academy in Detroit. That's a training ground for student athletes. And I have reached out to Dwayne, sent him a note yesterday, try to even out the love for both, as we got two good local connections here in this series. So hopefully, you never know if Dwayne can find some time. I'm sure he's probably at the games and following his son, of course, as you would. So we'll see where that goes. Let's see, and we can talk about the Jays swept by the Rays. Always a struggle for the Jays at the Trop, with or without the new roof down there. Still early. They'll come around once the injury bug takes a hike. In the meantime, Okamoto will carry him with his with the long balls. And I mentioned yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, this week has been kind of a whirlwind, as you can appreciate. Trying to get my sea legs here, but I mentioned the VOCM news team, of course, had wins, and I neglected, and I should. I didn't see the full list at the time, but shout out to our media colleagues, CBC, NTV, and all Newfoundland, and Independent, all the other local agencies who have racked up Atlantic Journalism Award nominations, and RTN DDAs. These are the national ones. We, all good, all round, good, hard journalism going on here in the province, even though it can be a struggle, to say the least. And speaking of media, Ted Turner, of course, passed away yesterday at the age of 87, founder of CNN. I remember watching the news conference live with Ted Turner when he was just mulling and musing whether or not there'd be enough news in a 24-hour cycle to support a 24-hour news channel. I guess we know the answer to that question. And of course, he had his hand in everything. Of course, he's married to Jane Fonda, the actress for longest while. Braves, owned the Braves and the Hawks. Turner Field, of course, in Atlanta was named after him. And environmentalist, of course, and on it goes. So a life well lived there for sure. And there is so much on the bone today. Just down the road here, previously loved things and closing things. The Epilepsy NL building, we can get into that. That's going to close. And in this day and age, I do a lot of my shopping at the thrift shops. Why not? And especially since I have like some extracurricular activity on stages outside of this. And I'm always looking for something funky and different than just even normal clothes. And I mean, you know, we're all living it. So, you know, you see a couple of shirts and nice stuff that you want to, I mean, look, it's great stuff. They say previously loved, it was. But unfortunately, the retail aspect of the Epilepsy NL operation here just down the road from VOCM here on Kemount Road is going to cease operations. I believe they're going to lease out a large part of their building there, which they own. The good work will go on, of course, and then we can reach out. I think I sent a note yesterday. I sent so many to different people looking for a little bit of presence on the show that I may have. I can't even remember if I got that email off to Epilepsy NL, but we'd love to have a chat there and see what their business plan is going forward. Sad loss, but, you know, for the retail side, because that place was humming all the time. You never know what you're going to find in there, even if you're just, you know, scavenging, going around, see what's around. And also, I have said this, and I'm going to continue. Every day you're going to hear me at least beat the drum on AI, artificial intelligence, and how it's gotten away from us, period. And we are in, speaking of that, total catch-up mode, if we ever do catch up to artificial intelligence. And, of course, yesterday, the privacy commissioners of 3 provinces in Canada raked OpenAI and the chatbot over the coals for their breaches of privacy and exposing people's private information to the OpenAI and in the no consent and on and on and on it goes. And interesting to see right at the front of it, one of the players at the table, one of the privacy commissioners. He is now the privacy commissioner for British Columbia, but our former privacy commissioner here in this province, Michael Harvey, was front and center for this announcement yesterday, for the details that they released into their investigation of OpenAI, and we can get all over that. I'm all over talking about that. Profits are up for the owners of Tim's and Burger King, Synovus, and Loblaws Dominion. Profits are up for grocery stores. Shocker. And we know the profit margins are tight, but they made money, and more than expected. So speaking of Dominion, by the way, of course, Memorial Stadium Dominion, a staple. Of course, Memorial Stadium was the historic building for years, but then they converted it into a supermarket for Loblaws, for Dominion. Closing Friday, last day. And I live close by, and there's a few things I always pop down there for. There's also a cannabis store that was in the building. Still precious little information onto what's going to go on that site, but I know there's not precious few opinions on what should go there, and I'm all over that. If you want to give us a shout, tell us, you know, the sadness you'll feel, if that is the case, of the loss of that building. Or maybe not the loss of the building, at least. We don't know what's going to happen there yet, but there's the old structure is still there, the main foundation of it, while it was converted, but it's still... We just don't know. Cygnus and others that are tenants down there, we're looking for information, and nobody seems to know exactly what's going to happen there. But, hey, I'm open to those rumors. Why not? Not as serious. And, yeah, so... couple of more minutes. Okay, just one other thing I certainly wanted to follow up on, and this is what you do in the news business. If you latch onto a story, you should always bring it to a conclusion, or at least carry it on until the smoke is cleared, but it hasn't on this one. So I had the Deputy Premier, Barry Pettin, on the show yesterday, and he wanted to talk about the changes to municipal grants and funding, and we can get into that, of course. I know there's a municipalities forum, I believe, in Gander today, and Amy Cody, talking to you, if she's listening, we'll even give her a shout out to talk about this, the funding. And I've heard the mayor of St. John's too, kind of skipping the 2026 year for funding, making it a 4-year program, and then trying to collapse the money into that. But there is a significant shortfall, at least in the eyes of the municipalities, by doing that and changing the beams. Changing water on those beams. So that's certainly a topic for conversation. But Mr. Pettin also took my questions on the appointments of Jerome Kennedy and Byrne Coffey as advisors to assess the independent, and I stress independent, title, that's the title of it, panel's review of the Churchill Falls MOU. And he took the questions, but rather thin on answers, I will say, on this point, because, you know, such as how much they're being paid. So I asked if they were being paid, and he said, yes, of course they would. And then I asked him how much, and he didn't know. So they've been hired since January which was not revealed until earlier this week when reporters started asking questions. So Mr. Petton wouldn't reveal the salaries, said he didn't know. And then yesterday, during a scrum with reporters, the Premier said same. He said he didn't know either. So let me get this straight. Neither the Premier nor the Deputy Premier knows how much Jerome Kennedy and Byrne Coffey are being paid. Really? Are you kidding? So at no point when the discussions arose about hiring these two men as advisors, as the Premier said, reputations unmatchable. I agree. I know them well, the best local lawyers they could get, or you might say money can buy. Yet they never discussed how much they would be paid. They don't know, even though they approved it. In that case, we have a bigger problem. When that doesn't matter, or when it doesn't matter enough, or the Premier doesn't know or matter or care enough to know how much of our taxpayers' money is being spent to bring them on board now. And, I mean, the appointments themselves were kept secret. Let's not sugarcoat it, as more and more people like to use that term these days. And that's good. Let's not sugarcoat anything. Let's just tell the truth. So these hires were kept secret since January. May I suggest now we know why there was no announcement and no press release for 4 months, and we find out through the jigs and the reels instead. Anyway, look, I went over this communication side of things and the openness and the transparency and all these pillars that the new government, shouted from the rooftops. Anyway, end of rant. Not from a liberal or a lefty, before you all get your knickers in a knot, but a taxpayer who happens to have this platform to call it out for what it is, and that's that. So I'm all over getting into that as well. Dave, shall I go up to what do you want to do? Let's take a quick one. Let's go to line 3. We got calls, and that is always the priority. Some things have to get out there, but let's go to Clarence on line 3. Clarence, you're on the air.
Good day, sir. How are you?
Morning. Pretty good.
That's good. I've got a quick question. I'm hearing a lot of stories on the Beta Bird and the Hibernia and the Hebron and all that, and I was just wondering. I don't hear nothing on the Port oil find over there, and I know somebody who drilled that well, and when they drilled it, they found huge amounts of natural gas. The oil flow on a hydrostatic flow was 1,000 liters every 4.5 minutes.
Yep.
And still for all we're...
Are we talking specifically the Shoal Point area, that stuff, Clarence?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Sure, go ahead, sorry.
Yep. Yeah, no, so I'm just wondering why we don't have anybody pursuing the startup of that field, that type of thing.
I don't know that they're not. Again, this is a little out of the blue, so I can't speak to the different proponents right now. I know the proponents back in the day as well. One of them, a close friend of mine, when they were talking, remember all the talk of shale and whether or not they were going to go down that road. And, of course, that blew up to an environmental level that it was just a non-starter for many. But it goes back to 1994 when they drilled Port-au-Port number 1. That well.
That's right. Yep.
And this is just off my memory, so you correct me if any of this stuff. Again, I didn't see this one coming. So if my brain is working accurately, then it's a reassurance, if nothing else. But the hydrocarbon seeps and all that kind of stuff goes back more than 150 years. So they knew that was there. There was always potential there. And Alcor and partners were involved. I remember they called the names, they were Irish. That's one reason. There's a Seamus one and Finnegan one or something like that. I don't.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
It's a good question. Clarence, do you know anything more recent? Because you'd probably you're calling from the area, are you?
Yeah, I'm calling from CBS, but someone belonged to me was a driller on that rig. They brought down the triple from neighbors brought down the triple from Alberta, and they drilled the hole. And he tells me that there's as much oil there as the Hibernia, and it's as clean as the Hibernia oil.
Well, you know how it works. Look, we've always tried to. When we call it clean, we should be clear that. Oil is oil. It might be cleaner. Oil is oil. Cleaner is, I think, the better term. Greener as opposed to green, like they call green steel, right? There's no such thing. It might be greener than it has been. something. What was I just going to say about that? Yeah, I mean, look, oil companies. This goes back to even the discussion over natural gas and why we haven't tapped into that literally to the extent we may be able to for what's flared off. But at Hibernia and other places. But I come back to some comments, private conversations, but just general conversations I had with Tor Loseth, with Equinor, when he's been here for the Energy NL conferences. Very accessible, great guy, nicest guy you're going to meet. We'll have a great chat with you. Very down-to-earth guy. He's the country Canada president, right? Country president for Equinor here in the country. And he's the face of Beta Nord, really, for the company, for Equinor. And I remember him just, we had this chat. Look, if it's not feasible, that's what it comes down to. All of the different, factors that go into whether or not it's feasible. And you can look no further than Equinor, who were looking at a gravity base, but went with an FPSO. My understanding is it became completely unfeasible. And then when Mr. Risley and everyone inserted themselves into the hydrocarbon discussion and the windmills and green energy, of course, hydrogen on the West Coast, that seemed to me, people were saying, everything else took a back seat. It's like, this is the greener way to go. And how can we possibly justify going deep into an oil exploration there when it just wasn't the conversation? So I think that took a back seat, just like all of the other oil and gas projects in the Trudeau era, until we came around and realized, such as in the current diaspora here in the world, that we're going to need this stuff for a little while to come. It's a great question. I think it's an important conversation, and I look forward to the powers that be, anyone, whether or not where that sits in the portfolio for Oilco or even for the provincial government, whether it's on the radar, whether they have a current or updated plan or assessment or anything like that. It's a great question. It's fallen off the radar, but I welcome it today, Clarence.
Yeah, well, feasibility, in my layman's mind, I would think a land rig would be more feasible than a $12 or $14 billion offshore rig, and the going and comings of it all, right? With the quantities of oil that's supposedly to be out there type thing, right? Absolutely.
Like the reserves are supposed to justify it. Again, the environment pushback out there too, and rightly so. I mean, whether it's Indigenous or whether it's the other community groups that have been loud and proud, right, about any exploration on the West Coast, especially as the shale just went off the rails. But for all the other protests we've seen here in the province, whether on the World GH2's plans, which are now gone to the wayside, and they're down in Supreme Court trying to fight off bankruptcy. So there you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a food for thought. So it's been bugging me for quite a while to ask the question, and
I'm glad you did.
So here we are trying it out.
Yeah, not that there's enough stuff on the plate, but I'm glad you did. It's critical, it's crucial, and right now, when you're looking at trying to make things, those reserves are critical right now, right? People are looking everywhere, especially in-house, as in country,
Yeah, and for the quality that we got, I mean, the quality is second to none when it comes to, like you say, environmentally friendly oil, we'll say.
Yeah, comparatively so. If you're going to drill, baby, drill, as Mr. Trump says, they're going to be looking.
Right.
Yep. Well, Clarence, thanks for the call. I'm right at the break, but look, that's a great one to start the day with. I wasn't expecting it, and thanks for jarring my memory.
No, anytime. I'll see if I can come up with a couple of more good ones.
Yeah, and have a listen. You never know. And next, any kind of related oil and gas chat I have on here, anyone with any authority, I'll put it to them.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Have a good one.
Okay, you too. Bye. Thanks. Bye. All right, Dave, first break, let's, what do we got coming up? Yes, right. We were talking MS yesterday. A woman was looking for some yard work done. We have Zita Taylor is going to come up with the MS Canada Society, Multiple Sclerosis Society. And let's see, Sarah King, Self-Managed Home Care Workers, and David Tutton, Timely, NL Beekeeping Association. He's in the queue as well. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the show for this Thursday morning. Let's go right to line number 1. And David Tutton with the NL Beekeeping Association, you're on the air.
Good morning. So good to talk to you. I heard you in your little amble say about the lovely warm day yesterday, and we had another one, I think it was on Saturday or Sunday, was a gorgeous day. And I'm seeing in my garden, my daffodils are open today, my hyacinths are open, my crocuses are finished, but the first of the dandelions are up.
I saw it.
And we're calling because it is No Mow May campaign. We're asking people, please, leave your dandelions, let your grass grow, let the dandelions bloom, because we've all had a hard winter. And our bees have also had that, not just our honeybees, but the native species as well, have all had a hard winter. We had that brutal cold. We had the drought of last year and the forest fires, etc. And many of us who are beekeepers have lost a number of bees over this winter, more than normal. And this is the first source of pollen and nectar that all of these bee species need to carry them through into the summer. And they're so reliant on these things, and we need the bees in our environment. They do so much for us. 1/3 of everything we eat is pollinated by the bees.
David, that's
correct. Please asking, don't cut your grass for the month of May.
Let me just ask you quickly before, on something you just said, and yes, let's talk about No Mow May, and I'm going to get into it, but you just mentioned there's been how significant was the drop-off? How many bees did you lose, and how does that compare to past years?
Well, we haven't got those results in yet. There will be a survey going out to beekeepers across the province, probably within the next week or so, coming in from the provincial apiarist. But personally, I lost a number of hives myself. And I've been talking to beekeepers across the province, and there have been significant losses. Now, there's some who didn't lose anything, and we're really grateful for that. But yes, there has been a significant loss of hives and colonies this winter.
And that's directly attributable to the dry, drought-like conditions from last year.
It's difficult to say. There will be various factors. You'll have the drought. You'll have the fires that burnt a lot of stuff. Like, for example, some of the things that should have sprouted in the middle of summer last year to give the pollination at the end of the summer, your fireweeds and your Michaelmas daisies and your goldenrod, etc., in some areas didn't even sprout. So they weren't there to produce the things that the bees needed at the end of the year. And that's just to name a few species. But so that affected it. And then we had the cold. We had 2 bouts of really bad temperatures with a mild section in the middle, and there was a fair bit of moisture. And moisture kills bees. So we had a real, group of things happen that just was not good. But we're hoping for the best. We're hoping to pull through and get things back on track. And we're hoping for a nice summer. Hopefully it will rain every night and be warm during the day, right?
Yeah, well, you know what? That's today.
We can dream.
Well, that's the forecast for today and tomorrow, so you got your wish there. David, I just want you to know, for starters, I'm doing my part. I'm watching it grow. Every day I look out my back patio door and look at the grass, and it's greener, that's for sure. I mean, look, it's not the brown that we saw in July and August of last year and the crunch under your feet. I mean, I've lived here my entire life, well into my 50s now, and I've never seen anything like that last year. That was just incredible, to just crunch through your backyard with no green whatsoever. Let's hope we don't have a repeat.
Last year was brutal. I was evacuated last year because of the fire. But right now we're looking. Dandelions are a big thing that we all see because they're bright yellow in our grass, but there's other things there too. The clover comes through in the grass, and there are other things that are in our lawns that really are bees, both our European honeybees and our native pollinators really need and really rely on. So we're saying, please, for the sake of our environment, let those grow right now. Don't cut them. Enjoy the yellow, enjoy the flowers, enjoy it all. And if you want to put some wildflowers in your gardens and stuff of that sort, please, be wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Flower beds and what have you, magnificent. But right now, the dandelions are so crucial to both our honeybees and to our native species. So please let your grass grow. Don't be ashamed of it. You're helping out the environment.
It's interesting. I'm a real lawn watcher, like when I go for walks and stuff, I admire it. Whether it's a wild lawn, like the more, is that what you call it? I can't remember now. But, like a more wilder lawn where it's all the weeds and everything are gone, correct? And all different various types. And then the others that, are just manicured down to a T. I've even seen more and more fake lawns, believe it or not, turf lawns, people taking up the grass altogether. That's a new thing I've never seen before. But I love the thought. To me, I'm the kind, I love to watch it grow, get lush as possible. And then there's nothing like a nice first mow, say, late June or early July, when you just, because it's also lush, it's also green, you've let it grow so full, and you mow it and it just looks, and the smell and everything, I love it.
The smell of cut grass is beautiful, but please don't do that until mid-June.
Yeah, or later.
The last couple of years, I live in Holyrood, and I've enjoyed going down to CBS where the town there has let the dandelions grow, and the whole of the road going through CBS has been just an absolute blaze of yellow. And it's just so beautiful. I wanted to pull over the side of the road and take photographs of it. It was just gorgeous. But it was all dandelions, and absolutely gorgeous, but so important to our native species, to our bees. So I was delighted to see that. And I hope that folks will follow that same example and let their grass grow.
Absolutely, Dave. Great timing, right up to the break. Great timing for the show, but also great timing for the season. This was a must call today, so I really appreciate you getting in touch. Perfect timing, and no mow May. Don't do it.
That's it. And thank you ever so much for your time and for your support. It is absolutely wonderful. And if anyone wants to know what else we're doing, we've got a load of programs going on. Visit our website, nlbeekeeping.com. And we'd be happy to answer questions.
And on the socials, I got yours up there now, NL Beekeeping Association on Facebook and elsewhere, and Instagram. Awesome.
Exactly.
David Tutton, NL Beekeeper Association, thanks again very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, take care.
Okay,
bye. All right, who we got? Coming up in a minute. Trades NL going to talk about the skilled labor in this province, of which there is a lot. Rumor had it that there wasn't, but of course there is. And let's see, yes, CMS Society and self-managed home care workers. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the show. Let's go to line number 3. And Bob Fiander with Trades NL, you're on the air.
Morning, Brian.
How are you?
Thanks for having me on this morning.
Oh, our
Not
pleasure.
Too bad, bud. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty good for a Thursday. It's splitting rocks out there, and the temperatures are warmer, and it just it does a body good, Bob.
Does it ever?
And a brain.
And I hope it's a good turn now.
Yeah, me too. And hopefully
sure.
It sticks around. It does a body and a brain, I should say, and good. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So again, thanks for having me on, Brian. NLCA Expo started yesterday. The Premier opened, and this is a great opportunity to talk about the skilled trades that are in the province. It was a full house over there yesterday, well attended, lots of talented folks from Newfoundland and Labrador, vendors and skilled labor, all kinds of energy. Everybody is anxious to get to work. Everybody wants to get some projects going. And that's a good segue into talking about the supply of skilled labor, Brian. There are some in this province, employers and organizations, claiming that there's a skilled labor shortage, and that is simply not true. And I'm going to bring you back a little ways to 2011 and 2011 to 2016. We stacked 4 projects. So the Long Harbour Hydromet, the Hebron project was going, Muskrat Falls, so LCP, and the Voisey Bay Underground. So 4 projects. The Building Trades of Newfoundland and Labrador supplied to each and every one of those projects. In 2017, the Hydromet fell off, and this will all make sense as we're going on. But we had the West White Rose project came on. We're still in Voisey Bay Underground, still on Muskrat Falls, and still on Hebron. Still stacking 4 projects, still stacking highly skilled people to the projects. In 2018 to 2021, still stacking 3. In 2022 to 25, still stacking 2. So for those reasons, Brian, we grew our membership. We have an adequate supply. Our numbers went over 20,000. I believe at one point in time we were around 21,000. So those workers never disappeared. They still exist, and our membership it reduced because people find other things to do if there's no work, and we have fell off the cliff, I call it, since 2024 really, when our last project was going, the West White Rose, and we completed that offshore. 110 of our members done the highly critical welding paths, piping and structural and fitting, and it went without issue. It was almost perfection, all 350 kilometers offshore. So significant. Now we're looking for work, and our members are all over this country. StatsCan supports us and our argument. In 2022, the latest numbers from StatsCan has 16,620 people, residents of Newfoundland and Labrador, filing taxes in Newfoundland and Labrador, traveling across this country looking for work. Those numbers never got any better today. I expect they're ballooned. So we have reason to want to get to work. We have an adequate supply of skilled labor. We're looking forward to it.
Bob, absolutely. And it needs to be said, and it needs to be called, and it needs to be highlighted. No question at all that the workers are here. I wonder, you said you want to get to work. So, you know, it was an unprecedented in my journalistic career of the endorsement you gave the WACM government last year, actually the Progressive Conservatives before they were elected in the lead up to the election. And, you know, given the close result of the election, it's arguably your endorsement put them over the top in my mind. I mean, if nothing else did, to come out fully on behalf of Trades NL and endorse that party prior to the election. Kind of sealed the deal. Has the government lived up to your expectations to date?
Well, absolutely. Look, Brian, we have a government that wants success. And so,
well, all governments want success, though, Bob. Come on. I mean, you know, I get it, but I just want to be clear. Has it lived up to your expectations to this moment? All the things that, you know, that you were in the basket when you endorsed the government, rather than, you know, success. All governments want success, but are they doing it?
Well, I think if you look at Premier WACM and the things that he's saying, and you know, there's no grass growing under his feet. So has he delivered on every thing that they had promised yet? Well, look, guys, they're only about 6 months or so in, and I think they're moving very, very well. Do we need to speed this up and get some wrenches turning and shovels in the ground? Absolutely. And so, like, based on that, we were in Ottawa last week, Brian, and we had a bunch of meetings set up with the federal government. So we met with Natural Resources Office, ESDS, Employment Service Development Canada. We had the PMO's office, so Ministers Haydu, Minister Zuricelli, Minister Thompson, Atlantic Advisor to the PMO's office, Harry Burton, MP Connors and Osborne were there, numerous ADMs and directors. So we talked about things like the economic benefits, constructing projects in Newfoundland. We spoke about the availability of skilled labor. 14,000 of our members were 72% unemployed across 14 unions right now.
Yeah.
We talked about the skill of our laborers. You know, it's significant. We talked a lot about the potential of the floating dry dock and the Bull Arm facility. So when you consider all of those things, availability of skilled labor, infrastructure that we have in Bull Arm, the opportunity that we can build or decommission or commission anything that can fit through the Panama Canal with the floating dry dock, the biggest floating dry dock in Eastern Canada, we can be a part of the solution for defence. No question. We need the federal government to turn their attention toward Newfoundland and Labrador. And
it certainly seems like they have to an extent. There's no question. It's never. I find it hasn't been left out of the conversation when, you know, we think about the national conversation. Bob, there are a few things. Like, there's a lot of talking you just mentioned, and that's great. A lot of meetings. I think. Let me see a couple of things. The $2,000 rotational worker tax credit. Where are we on that? That was one of the promises Mr. WACM made that you endorsed.
Sure, and all things great, and if you look at some of the supports that the federal government and the provincial government are looking to implement, fantastic. But Brian, we need the work. We need to go to work. We need to put shovels in the ground, turn wrenches, because none of those other things happen without us working.
Right.
So in the last number of years, since 2011, we grew our apprenticeship numbers. We skilled up a lot of people in Newfoundland and Labrador. We're ready to go to work, and we're talking about nation-building projects. We've been talking about it long enough. We're a part of this nation too, and we want to move.
Yeah, and you just mentioned the apprentices, so I'll just jump on that. A promise to introduce, I think it was a requirement that any public infrastructure over 500,000 had to include at least 10% apprentices. Is that a promise they've lived up to?
It's a great number. I can tell you from our unions, our collective agreements generally hold 20% apprentices across the board. Mm-hmm. So we will meet and exceed those targets. We love to see the targets on the projects, absolutely. And anything over 500,000, it's going to support our apprenticeships. But again, it's good to say those numbers and anything over 500,000. But we have to get the work going.
Absolutely,
We're not seeing that.
Yeah, and they're moving along with Beta Nord. There's no question about that. Have you had a chance to get through the benefits agreement for Beta Nord to see what's actually in print? I know that the no less than 1.9 million project-related person hours of professional work. There's also the no less than 60% of project management activities related to the subsea components of it, and no less than 70% of project management activities that have related to the project occurring in the province. So those person hours, 500,000 for, it goes right through it. I mean, look, I don't want to get into all the numbers, but have you had a look through those agreements?
I did have a look over the benefits agreement the other night, actually, when it came out.
Anything there jump out or surprise or meet your expectations or exceed them even?
Well, a couple of things. When they indicated the way the money is going to roll out over the 5-year period, that's a little concerning. So I'd like to talk to the government and the Premier about that, because we want to go and build that. We want to construct that floating dry dock. And looking out 6 or 7 years, that's going to be too long. We're going to miss the opportunity for defence. Now is the time. We have to strike. We have to get the government involved provincially. We have to have the federal government involved. We have such good bones, such good history in the Bull Arm facility, and now you couple that with the floating dry dock, then we've really got something to be happy about.
And that was the trade-off, right? Versus the topsides. I mean, they pretty much came out and said, through no one, not clearly enough, but, if it could be done here, it will be done here. But I think there's an acknowledgement at this point that the floating dry dock and the $200 million and that sort of thing was kind of in lieu of. And you're okay with that?
Well, it remains to be seen, Brian, because there's still opportunity to bid the topsides work, and as I understand, there are companies in the province that have joint venture, and they're taking a look at it. They certainly responded to the EOIs, so we'll have to see what way that looks like. But I can tell you this, Brian, look, this project has been long in the tooth to get going, and it's still not going yet. But Trades NL and Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are not going to back off of constructing major projects in this province and maximising and measuring the amount of work that's done here. So the projects that are coming, we have expectations that Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are going to largely construct them.
Yeah, because as this gets going and the contracts start getting awarded, obviously you want the best guarantees you can get that Newfoundlanders will be. Well, look, throughout the agreements, it says Newfoundlanders have, the local workforce will be the first choice. But it's all kind of gray, and it's it depends on, like, there's a dispute resolution mechanism there. I can see. Are you concerned that a lot of this could go that route?
We have to go back to setting expectations, Brian.
Okay.
And if we set the expectation that we're going to measure and maximize work in this province before the developers ever come in, that's the way it's going to be when you come here. And that's going to be the expectation from Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. We're tired of watching and arguing about things like, do you have the skilled labor? Every single project that has been done, the major projects in this province, has started off with that argument from the employers and the developers. They don't want to develop here. It's up to our government to stand up and say, yes, we are going to develop here. These are our resources.
Absolutely. And you've been saying it, and we'll see if the province can follow through on it, and I'm sure we'll hear from you if they don't. Hey, bud.
Absolutely. Appreciate your time this morning.
Bob, so do I, and likewise myself, the Executive Director of Trades NL, Bob Fiander. Thanks, Bob. Have a great day.
Thanks, Brian.
Take care. All right, Dave, let's see, getting through the morning here and she's chock full, but we could always love more callers. Let's Let's see. Zita's coming up right with the MS Society right after the break. Welcome back to the show. Let's go to line number 4. And let's see. Sorry, Dave, I'm just adjusting my phone here. Right. Zita Kavanagh-Taylor with the MS support leader with multiple sclerosis, MS Canada. You're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you this morning?
I'm okay. Thanks. And yourself?
I'm fine, thank you. Congratulations on your new position.
I appreciate it very much. Just enjoying the great weather here today. I'm sorry when you ask how I am today. I just want to make sure I always clarify that, it does a body and a brain good, and I'm sure you can appreciate that.
Oh, yes, I certainly do. May is MS Awareness Month. I am an MS support leader for MS Canada, and I advocate for people with MS. And we hold our support meetings in person. We're going back to in-person meetings at third Wednesday of each month down at St. Patrick's Mercy Home. And the meetings are coordinated by me and another lady. And we welcome anyone that has MS, waiting for a diagnosis with MS. Family members, because sometimes when you are waiting for a diagnosis or you have MS, you're not ready to go to a support meeting. And so sometimes a family member will come so they can understand what a person with MS life is like and what you're going through.
See, on that note, we throw around the terms and the different diagnoses and the different afflictions that people have. What does a person with MS, go through in life, as you just said? How is that, Desi? How is the diagnosis these days? What does it mean for a person when they are diagnosed with MS?
Well, when I was diagnosed in 2010. And when they told me of my diagnosis, I did not understand what multiple sclerosis was. And but the puzzle came together for me. Looking over the years, I could see all the puzzle with the symptoms coming together for me. I could not walk. I was laid in a hospital bed when they gave me my diagnosis. So you were,
as a result of the diagnosis, so you were, I guess, because a lot of people are diagnosed without any symptoms whatsoever, are they not? I mean, it's...
Well, it's when you go to your doctor, you start off with your GP first, but the neurologist that have to diagnose you. So when you go to your GP and you say that your face is numb on one side, you're seeing double vision, so they'll send you for different kind of tests. They'll send you for eye tests and all that, or you say your legs are weak or that, or you in the morning you get up to get out of your bed and you doing everything in your might to put your legs to the floor just to stand up. And to get your day going. Or you feel so fatigued and you don't know why you feel so fatigued. And like people will say, just go back and take a nap because you need more rest. No, it's not that kind of fatigue. It isn't. And so all of that, once they're searching all of that, and MS mimics a lot of other illness.
Right.
So... Right. All of them illness have to be ruled out. Now, some people with MS have other family members that have multiple sclerosis, and sometimes I find when you're at a doctor's office, if you have somebody in the family with the illness, they'll look at it more so. But if you're going in with nobody in your family that you know of that got the illness, then it's harder. They don't always look at you.
Very similar, hey? Yeah, very similar to a lot of unfortunate afflictions, whether or not it's genetic, hereditary. I mean, if you're at a higher predisposition, to, if your father had it, your mom had it, such as colorectal cancer screening and those sorts of things, you're going to be put at a more frequent, they're going to keep a closer eye on you, bottom line.
Yeah, and it's not. No research is saying that it's genetic, but being a support leader, I have met people that have family members are diagnosed with it. Then I have met people that have distant cousins that they only found out through family history, and then I have met people that have no one in the family with it.
Yeah.
So it's no rhyme or reason to it, but your whole life turns around because your independence. Sometimes, for me, I have my legs. My legs are working. My legs are.
Yeah.
They're working. I'm driving and everything, but I had to go through a lot of rehab to get that going and that. And for some people, it's MS hits them harder. It's like progressive MS.
Yes, that's the word I was just going to ask you about. For some people, it progresses quicker than others.
Yes, it's quicker than others. For me, it's relapsing, remitting. And but I always say, like, well, we know with our healthcare system is doing the best they can with the sources they got. But like waiting to get into a neurologist now, it's about maybe 2 years, 3 years to get a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis or any other illness.
Zita, it's a massive topic. A lot of people are afflicted. A lot of people have relatives and family. It's in their family one way or, And this, you called and contacted us yesterday after the woman that we had on called, and she has MS and she has problem doing yard work and that sort of thing. She was looking for just a bit of help with that, and we gave her some sources, including the MS Society, only because she does have MS, and we thought maybe you might have resources. Obviously, people who are debilitated in one way or another as a result of the disease can use various resources through MS and others. So I appreciate you reaching out. For some people in that category who are having problems, I guess this support group is right up their alley. Would you say?
Yes.
For information and whatever.
Everyone. Yeah, we welcome everyone to our support group, and I also do support group over the phone. Some people don't want to come to a support group, but they're having a hard month or something, and they just want somebody that understands and
can relate. Yeah.
Be able to say, I can relate to him, and I'll do support over the phone, and because our problems too were got bays and everything, and a lot of bays don't have the support that you can get here in town, and for the lady that called in about the cleaning up the yards and that, I checked on all that. I checked with our MS Canada. We have a knowledge network, and our MS Canada has a very good website, and we got all our programs on there and everything. But we have nothing in the MS Canada part to have
to actually dispatch somebody or
but we recommend that you go to the community, and I am myself living in Mount Pearl, so I know that we have a
Cottonelle maybe.
Well, Cottonelle sits on that board, and I checked with them. We didn't have no one right at the moment, no programming. We're hoping to get one going, but we haven't got it up and running yet. But there is a community Powers Pond Community Mount Pearl support group, and sometimes I will see on that people looking for help with cleaning up the lawns and that. So anything like that, they can reach out to that. But this is May is MS Awareness Month. We do have a tree down St. David's Field planted, myself and our members, along with the city of Mount Pearl, planted, it's a few years ago now, and it has our plaque. And we are having a proclamation signing on May 12th with the city of Mount Pearl City Council.
There you go. We'll put that in our calendar, and by all means, call us back either the day before or the day of, just to remind us and put that back on the radar. I'm sorry, I got to get to the break. Got to get to our news.
Well, thank you for taking my call, and thank you for chatting.
Appreciate it very much. Thanks so much. Let's get off to the news. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. Let's go to line number 2. And Sarah, you're on the air.
Hi, my name is Sarah King, and I want to talk about self-managed home care workers today.
Go right ahead. Absolutely. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, so just so for any listeners that don't know, self-managed home care workers are not employed by agencies, but when somebody gets approved for their home care hours, they are given the option of using an agency, or they can hire their own people. So we're paid by the government just like the agency workers. So different bookkeeping agencies will do all of that for our clients. So they don't have to worry about T4s and all of that. And we're really grateful that in the budget that was put out last week, that Minister Party said that we're going to get a $2 raise, and we're really appreciative of that. It brings us closer to the same rate of pay as the agency workers, but it doesn't make it equal. And more importantly, there's no promise to maintain that smaller wage gap. So right now, agency workers are making $20.30 an hour, and self-managed home care workers are making $17.05. And when the budget is approved, we would make $19.05. So there is still over $1 difference. And in April 2027, the agency workers will get another raise. I'm not exactly sure what the number is, but it's $21 approximately they will be making. So that gap is only going to get bigger again, and we'll be right back where we started. And from October 2023 until April 2024, agency and self-managed workers were making the same amount of money. So I don't know why the government thinks that we deserve less, but many of us work with the exact same clients. Some workers are doing some hours with an agency and working with that same client and doing self-managed hours as well. So they're getting literally working with the same client and getting 2 different rates of pay.
So what kind of communication and understanding and appreciation for that scenario have you received in any discussions you've had with the department?
Well, the department was changed at some point. Home care was moved from health and community services to the seniors portfolio, which made communication hard, because when you're trying to get information and you're contacting one agency and no one tells you that you should be contacting another one, that puts a delay on things. But Mr. Party has been very understanding, and him and I had a chat the end of March. It took him 4 weeks to call me back, but he did call me back, and we had a chat. So he's been very understanding. And Miss Gambin Walsh is, of course, a very strong supporter of self-managed workers. And
yes, Liberal MHA for %. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So we have support, but there just seems to be a disconnect. And I had an access to information request put in a while back, and just asking, how was this decision made to not give us this raise? And in almost 200 pages of nonsense, there was an internal memo that was put out to ministers and government people saying, okay, when you're asked this question, you tell people that it's largely informed by minimum wage, and historically there's been a wage differential. Well, what does that even mean? Because obviously that's not true. The gap is growing and shrinking. Minimum wage is going up. We haven't gotten a raise since 2023. Minimum wage just keeps going up. So obviously that wage differential is not real.
Yeah. Do you get a feeling almost that, that's a status quo, a differential that, as you just said, seems to be no intention of changing it, and if anything, it might grow. Do you get a sense that it was
they don't have a number?
Yeah.
They're just letting it be. It's something to say, and unless you actually look at it, you don't realize that actually a wage differential between what we make and the agency workers. There should be a percentage or a whatever. But then also, if I'm going to make closer to minimum wage than I am agency work, well, I know people who, and myself, the thought about leaving has come up, because you can go work a minimum wage job, get benefits, and not have all the stress that comes with working in home care. But people who work in home care, for the most part, we want to be here. It's a very stressful job. We care about our clients, and we bring that home with us, unfortunately.
Yeah, and this is not to disparage or take anything away from the average minimum wage worker who is, fast food or whatever, but when you're dealing, absolutely. I mean, you have to have another level of compassion and care and responsibility, and for $3 or something more an hour doesn't seem worth it.
No, and actually right now I'm only making less than $1 more.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Minimum wage just went up to $16.35, and I'm making $17.05. That's a really small gap.
Yeah, and you wonder why people are, sorry.
Yes, and in this province, you don't have to have higher education to be a home care worker, and that's a completely different subject. But any grade 12 student can graduate and with very little work go and work in home care, and there's they might do a great job, but also they could just go and with that same little effort go and get a job at any minimum wage job and have a lot less stress upon their lives. It's
unfortunate, but it certainly seems to be a perception out there that it's, easy is not the word I'm looking for, but...
well, a lot of people look at home care and they're thinking of the little old nice lady who just needs a little chat and a little conversation.
Cook some few meals. Yeah.
But we're talking about people with severe disabilities, people with very challenging medical things that are, that's nursing level care, but you're having home care workers do it at home. And, we're being trained by parents. When you're self-managed workers, a lot of times families are training you. And you look at, I've worked in an agency, and there was very little training. And I work, I hear people talk. They get very little training.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to expect from people.
Yeah, and I think because of that, the lack of training, the lack of schooling, again, the misconception out there is that you don't have to, have a lot of qualifications or a lot of skill to do this work, whereas it's some of the most important work we can be doing. And when you look at the shortages that we have, whether it's for nurses or doctors or LPNs even, and trying to, I won't say download, but trying to sort of distribute some of these responsibilities for care of people out of the professional realm, so you don't have to pay them as much. The government should be committing more to this. If you want the average layperson, or even ideally a family member, they need to be compensated properly so we can take the stress off the larger sector of the health system. No question.
Yeah. A lot of home care, I've walked into homes and, you're walking in and you're dealing with something that if you didn't walk in, if you hadn't come to shift and a family member called later, it would be too late.
Yeah. And you don't know. That's the thing. You don't know the categories.
People rely on their home care workers tremendously, and we're keeping people out of long-term care.
It's a big conversation, Sarah. Unfortunately, I'm past the break, but let's continue it.
Yes, I just want to say that there is a Facebook group, Self-Managed Home Care Workers NL. There's 2,000 self-managed home care workers out there. We want those who support us and the home care workers. We want to grow our group so we can advocate together. Yeah,
with the demographics in the province, that's not getting any easier either. Sarah King with I appreciate the call and the advocacy. Stay in touch. Let us know, if we're getting any progress on this front, because it is crucial to the healthcare system. It's a baseline priority.
We appreciate the promised raise, but it's not enough if you're not going to maintain that smaller wage difference.
Understood. Thanks for the call.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Okay, let's see. Who do we got? Okay, so lots of calls in the queue, but we would welcome yours as well. Doesn't mean anything. We just means we had a great conversation going, and we want to add your voice to it. Let's see. Yeah, Gary Furlong's going to talk. There was a fire there on Shaw Street yesterday involving the Geraldine Rubia Centre. We're going to have Gary's going to come out and talk about that. He's Shadow Minister for Municipal and Community Affairs. Jim Parsons coming, and Jerry Earle as well is in the queue, and we'll be back. Welcome back to the show. Right to line number 3, Jim Parsons, the MHA, Liberal MHA for Corner Brook, former mayor of Corner Brook. You're on the air.
How you doing, Brian?
Great, Jim. How are you? Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, listen, I bet you learn a lot every day.
Day and night and weekend and hour and minute. The question is whether it takes, hey, Jim, you know what that's like. I mean, there's so much information out there today that the fact that it actually takes is amazing me, because we only have so much capacity, I think, in our brains. And I'm expecting it to explode. We'll see. If I make it through the first week, maybe we'll see what the storage is like.
I'm sure you're going to be just fine.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I was calling today, Brian, about this multi-year capital works program change that's affecting a lot of municipalities, and was a big surprise to the municipalities and MNL as well.
Yeah, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong here. Are you in effect losing a year of funding? I mean, it's going to from a 3 to a 4-year model. I understand. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that's part of the problem. That's the biggest part of the problem, in fact.
Okay, well, that's yeah, go for it.
There were 22 municipalities that were getting this funding before, and it's the way it used to work is a 3-year program, and you were allotted so much money, and I know that they've tightened up the per capita type way that it's funded, but it was predictable and sustainable. It was something you could plan on.
Oh, which is all businesses and municipalities need: predictability and ability to plan. Sorry.
Absolutely, and you know what? And I even see in the PC Blue Book, they touted the need to do more multi-year funding for municipalities. And so this was a real shocker the other day that of the 22, of course, 15 were kicked out of the program, lumped in to the other municipal infrastructure program, Municipal Capital Works, which is a project-by-project funding basis. And they put a bit more money in that program, but they've left the 7-Eleven, as we call them in municipalities,
No relation to the famous chain?
No relation at all. But you're right. It's now a 4-year program, not a 3-year. So,
and it skips this year, does it not?
Yeah. So it doesn't. You're not able to apply for funding until April of 27. So obviously, there's always programs overlapping, and like again, talking to my hometown and in Corner Brook, they have all their funds allocated for their 3-year program, but there's still, I think, about it might be less than $1.5 million of projects still ongoing to be wrapped up. You know what I mean? But yeah, there won't be any more funding to avail of until 2027. And yeah, and then it goes to 27, and the funding has to be done by 2031. So it is is taking the money that was. So, for example, St. John's, the Minister of Transportation Infrastructure mentioned that they're getting more money. Well, they are. So they go from $21 million to $25 million, but that's over 4 years instead of 3. So in fact, they're going to lose about $560,000 a year now. And
you're right. He said that here on the program with me yesterday morning. And he also said, look, he openly acknowledged people aren't going to be happy with the change, but he said he's open to talking and open to discussing it. Are you hopeful there could be some wiggle room here?
Well, I heard him say that. I asked about this in the House yesterday, and he sort of said that I didn't know what I was talking about with regard to the numbers. But it's funny, my numbers seem to line up a lot with MNL and the other municipalities affected here. So I think that I am hopeful that there will be opportunity for change here. Although this conversation should have happened before. I understand that there have been concerns from government about how fast the municipalities can get money out, because I know some of the smaller municipalities might have resourcing issues and things like that. There's a lot there's a lot of red tape to get this done when it comes to municipal infrastructure funding. and it requires, a lot of planning, tendering, engineering, and procurement rules. So it does take a lot of resources. So I understand the problem there, but instead of just pulling the rug out from these 15 and putting, causing the other 7 to lose money every year, couldn't there be more support and training? We have we have regional engineers from the Department of Municipal Affairs that could help with this as well. So there is another way, and this consultation should be done without us having to have, I know MNL is having emergency meetings with the affected municipalities, trying to figure out what to do about this. I'm going to, urge the minister to reconsider this and reevaluate it. I hope that they'll do the right thing here. Look, I want to make sure that we do, as they promised, get sustainable, predictable funding for municipalities. Because like you said, there's a lot to get this stuff out the door, and having time to be able to figure out, okay, let's do this project. Oh, that costs a little more. Let's move a little money here. Yeah. Oh, that costs a little less. Let's move a little money here. That's the kind of responsibility that our municipalities take.
Yeah, and before all the, the people jump on me for this, look at them agreeing with a Liberal MHA. No, but look, nobody begrudges the current provincial government for the financial state we're in. They did inherit a large deficit and a large debt, period. And we knew there's going to be some pain. We expected some pain. So far, it's been, it was what people would call a meh budget, because it really wasn't, there were no big headlines. It wasn't this major funding cut. But now the jigs and reels, a slow drip is sort of revealing as we get through the document, and municipalities, for one, MNL, start to understand that an easy way to avoid this and head it off at the pass would have been great communication. And as you said, not pulling the rug out. Look, we know it. You know it as a former mayor. All the municipalities know the financial stress that the government's under. $1 billion deficit, $20 billion debt. We know there's going to have to be pain, but don't, as again, the sugarcoat thing comes up. Tell it like it is. Be honest. Come up front. Talk to you guys before you do it. And maybe the communication thing can smooth things over. At least you're all on the same page. And it doesn't cause an MHA like yourself or mayors and councillors having to call open line and say, we don't know what happened here.
Yeah, no, and it is, I'm looking at the numbers here, and when you reverse engineer how this was, the numbers were derived at, so in the letters to the municipalities that are still on this multi-year capital, they're giving $233 per head, basically, is what the per capita number they came up with. But if you reverse engineer that, what they're doing is they're just swapping out money from this program into multi-year capital works. So the overall budget for for municipal capital works and multi-year capital works ends up being the same, but they're going to cause havoc for communities like Clarenville is pulled out of the program. Happy Valley, Goose Bay, Lab City, Marystown, Torbay, Wabush. These are communities that were a part of this program. Now, whether or not they were having trouble with it or what is one thing, but you can't just pull the rug out. You've got to do these changes right. You've got to communicate. I think municipalities run balanced budgets. They are painfully aware.
Can't run a deficit. Yeah.
And so when it comes to having empathy for this in government, I think they understand. Obviously, municipalities want more, and they need more. They do a lot of the infrastructure work is on their shoulders to a large extent. And so we got to figure out a better way to communicate this, a better way to solve this problem, better way to get infrastructure money into the hands. I know there are problems we don't have a current federal government, provincial government program in place signed yet. So there's a lot of work to do here for municipalities, for sure.
Yeah, it seems like, make the decisions and we'll, the ask permission, forgiveness afterward, what kind of thing is the horse left the barn. So now, the usual, what is it we call it, comes out in the wash after the fact, Jim, I'm right at the break. I appreciate the call this morning. Are you at the Forum in Gander in Central?
No, I'm in the house today, so we're
okay.
Still here in the house until tonight. So and estimates are going on as well. So it's real lots of fun with budget.
Absolutely, that's what you want to call it. Enjoy the numbers. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, take care. All right, Jim Parsons there, the MHA for Corner Brook, and that municipalities thing is only going to gather steam, I'm pretty sure, as we go along. Okay, who we got? We got Doris wants to have a chat about Route 94. We got Jerry Earl in the queue from Nape. Gary wants to talk about the Geraldine Rubia Centre. Of course, I mentioned that fire on Shaw Street here in the city yesterday. And Edward's going to have a little update on that stolen chainsaw. If you heard that conversation with Darren Bent, I think it was last week. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the program. Dave, I should have asked, what would you like? Line number 6, the president of Nape, Jerry Earl. You're on the big air. What was I going to say there? Oh, I'm trying to get my words today, Jerry. You know what it's like.
I certainly do. And first off, Barnaby, it was the first time we spoke since in this capacity. I want to congratulate you on this position.
Thank you very much. Very much. Not for the faint of heart, to say the least.
Not at all.
Yeah, it takes all kinds, but I've been doing that all my life, so there you go.
Yeah, I'm sure you certainly knew what you were walking into.
I did. I had a pretty good idea, it helped that I filled in for a few times just at least to get my feet wet, get an idea, and even just the technical side of it, Jerry, the buttons and all that kind of stuff, there's a flow to it, and you get in a rhythm. You know what it's like. I mean, when you try anything, move out of your comfort zone into something new, it takes a little while to get everything fired away, but so far so good, I think.
Absolutely. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Appreciate it. So, what's on the brain today of all the things that you could choose from?
Well, today what I want to touch base on is we have finally, and I can't say received a contract in its entirety. Some would be aware of a contract that was entered into between the Health Authority and what was referred to as Medivie NLL, a private entity to manage emergency medical service Newfoundland and Labrador. If you remember, it was over $500 million commitment, $561 million to be exact. This is public dollars that Newfoundlanders and Labradors hard-earned money they pay in to pay for this contract. We have been trying for a period of time now to get the actual contract, because no apologies, affects a number of our members. Actually, we represent the vast majority in EMS, be it a road ambulance, the air ambulance, dispatch, and a whole host of others. Lo and behold, we tried the normal routes that you would ask NLHS, to ask provincial government. Provincial government referred us back to NLHS, and they were telling us to ATIP this. Now, they could have given it to us. We did not have to go. And lo and behold, of course, we know what happens when you get an ATIP. When I received the documents, I thought I'd received the Epstein files in mistake with the amount of redaction in it. It's unreal. Like, this is a public document entered into on behalf of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians by a health board that is there for us. And I have a major problem when you try to go through this document, and there's sections where there's 10 and 12 consecutive pages that there is nothing black. There's no shortage of black ink, I can tell you. And that's all that's there. So it leaves us to doubt. So it's very concerning when we get these documents, the lack of transparency, and it makes you wonder what's beneath that black ink, and we should not have to do that.
Yeah, when we're talking what's been contracted out, what's not, then just the costs of it, and considering the deep relationship, close relationship that you should have with the government, it just boggles the mind why, the back and forth, and then through the ATIP requests when they know they have the information, and then the redactions. So, I mean, how does this go? You're trying to forge a new relationship here with the government, giving them the benefit of the doubt. We all have, because the budget was to come. And look, and again, I'll get all the emails, I'm this and I'm that and I'm the other thing. I'm none of it. I'm seeing things the way you're seeing them, the way people see them. And there seemed, for all the transparency and openness, the drum that was beat on that. And I'm not saying it. You're actually telling us again of another example. So I'm just wondering how it damages or otherwise the relationship you have with the government as far as transparency goes.
And this one is directly with Newfoundland Health Service, and government is ultimately responsible.
It's not a third-party agency or anything. Yeah, so
it's as we call it, one of the agency board commissions of government that's there. And again, this is a significant contract, a major move to do the right thing in the province with EMS. But where we represent the vast majority, first of all, we weren't consulted during the whole process that unfolded here. Only after process, this is going to become effective now, not a long period, September 25th, 2025, I do believe. Well, shortly thereafter, one of the first things we got was a notice that a portion of the work that our members in the finance department at Mount Pearl Square was actually going to lose their work. And we were asked, where's this coming from? Oh, the contract that we signed with Medivy and LHS. So we started asking, well, what else is in this contract? So I asked for the contract like we would. Initially, we got a 1.5-page summary. I said, this just don't sound right. AI generated, by the way. And then finally, we had to go to the ATIP. Before government or NLHS ever told us, we knew what likely the response would be. We had already made an ATIP request, and we got it back now, well, I said, heavily redacted. So it's concerning what's redacted. So again, here we are now. We have already filed what we call an access complaint, which NAPES had to do before when other entities were contracted with public dollars out to these private entities. Because these private entities, remember, don't fall under certain legislation. So luckily the contracts with government, we can go seek this. So extremely concerning. I can only imagine like what the general public that don't have the resources when they ask for something to be able to continuously challenge this stuff. We make no apologies for challenge. We will on behalf of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, because specifically our EMS personnel, which we represent, we will challenge this and we will go as far as is necessary. So the access complaint is gone in as of May the 4th. We will wait, and that goes into the Privacy Commissioner, and we will wait what the response is there. And if necessary, we will take this further, because we have a right to know, represent many of these members, Newfoundlanders, Labradorians have a right to know what is in a contract that is costing us collectively $561 million over 10 years.
Yeah, $500 million over 10 years. So again, and I don't begrudge. I just look for an explanation. The communication and the openness is the issue here more than anything, because we just don't know. As you said, it's a 400-page contract. You got a 2-page summary, and again, you mentioned it, AI generated. How do you know it was AI generated?
The summary, you mean? Somebody actually said to us, well, we got this too, and it's a great summary. We used AI to do that. And Brian, sometimes you can understand sometimes maybe even really commercially sensitive documents or something, or a section that
we get
may
that.
be.
Yeah.
But I'll give you one example. On one page of this, it says a community education plan. Now, we have been lobbying NLHS, past government, and not so much. We've had some conversations with the current, and I believe they're on site to do this, around a community education plan around emergency medical services utilization, or what you should use. I'm not sure what's covered in there, because on that one section it says community education plan. It's actually redacted. I'm not sure what's so confidential about a community education plan. So that's the kind of things we're questioning. And like I said, there's other sections. Like I said, as I thumbed through it, there's sections here. There's 12 and 14 consecutive pages of nothing but black ink. And I'm sure you've seen some of these documents, but it's frustrating trying to.
Well, seen them in a manner of speaking. I haven't seen them because it's all black. I don't know what the budget is for blank ink over there today, but
no shortage of it.
I didn't see a line item in the budget, but I'm sure there should be one. Look, and I don't mean to make hay of it. You're the president of the largest public and private sector union in the province. When you're telling me that transparency is a problem, I'm just relaying it, listening it, and seeing it. Proof is in the pudding. If you haven't been consulted and you can't get just the basics access, without having to file these ATIP requests and then go to the Privacy Commissioner and make a complaint and then wait for months to find out if you'll actually have access to it, and then it could even go to court. They could challenge that. It could go on and on and on. And meanwhile, the contract's in play.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The average person out there probably couldn't challenge this. We're in a position where we can, and we certainly will. And like you just said, Brian, some of it basically is, was a contract negotiated and impacted a significant number of members we represent, Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, public dollars. The contract was signed, and then we asked for it, actually had to ATIP it and get it, and then we get it, a significant portion redacted. So I think that's unacceptable and should be unacceptable to anyone, and we'll continue to certainly pursue this.
And I will continue to just ask for an explanation. Again, not ripping anyone. I just going by what you're telling me, the frustration frustration with it, the lack of understanding why they would do that. For the basic information that you want. So I'm open to it. Anyone from government, anyone from the Department of Health, or anyone else who can shed some light on it from government, balance out this conversation, I'm all over it. Jerry Earl, I appreciate the call and the kind words. Thank you.
And I appreciate the time and all the very best.
Thanks. Same to you. All right, Jerry Earl, president of NAPE, and right at the right up to who we got in the queue. Yes. Also, I got a call, speaking of AI, Dave. We did get a note there from the AI Future Skills and Productivity International Conference that's going on at MUN today and tomorrow. And I think we might have someone calling on that front, too. So, Doris still there on Route 94. Wayne, not impressed with the current leadership in government. I don't know if that's federal or provincial, but we'll find out. Brian, lost dog found in response to Zeta. That's a good one. Edward's still there with the stolen chainsaw update. And Gary Furlong, the Geraldine Rubia Center. Let's get to him after the break. Welcome back to the program. Let's go right to line number 1. Doris, you're on the air. Thank you for your patience. Sorry for the wait.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. Today, for Thursday, I'm fine. How about yourself?
For a Thursday, it's wonderful.
It is.
I'm visiting, actually, my family from Toronto, and I've been traveling in around the Bay into St. Mary's Bay on Route 94. And
this is the
road is...
Just want to make sure, the Admiral's Beach Road, isn't it?
It's actually the road in St. Joseph's that goes down to O'Donnell's and Admiral's Beach.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So literally half of the road is already gone. And they've put up concrete barriers, but because of the slope of the road, you can't actually see over the concrete barriers to see if there's any oncoming traffic. So the first suggestion is obviously to put in an automatic light. And I've seen those in other construction zones that, when nobody's coming, the lights will let people know that they can actually go.
Right.
And, of course, the crab fishery has already started down here. So we've got the big trucks going back and forth with the crab and the ice and everything, and the vibration on the road is going to take out the one lane that's left. The problem, of course, is, this is being classified as road maintenance, and it shouldn't be. This is road emergency. And it's going to end up cutting off 2 full communities, half of another community, where we have a lot of seniors who are relying on that road to go to doctor's appointments, getting their deliveries from the pharmacies, not to mention the kids going to school on the school bus. Now, I've talked to a lot of people since I've been here, and I've only been here since Saturday.
Okay.
But apparently an email was sent from the town clerk in Admiral's Beach on April 9th to Minister Pettin and the local MHA, and no response was gotten from either. I also spoke to a representative from the local service district in O'Donnell's, and he messaged back and forth with Mr. Pettin. He was told that it had gone to tender, should be started soon. I searched on Merck's. I can't find anything in there for Route 94. And there's been no communication with anybody in the community as to when this is going to get done. So I'm calling on the MHA and Minister Pettin to actually get in touch with the representatives here and give us some definite answers as to when this is going to get taken care of.
It's always
a disaster waiting to happen.
It's always unfortunate when there's no response to a request like that, especially, from authorities. I mean, people say, I emailed the Premier a dozen times. Well, the Premier doesn't necessarily see all the emails. There are staff in the Premier's office for that. Same goes for transportation. Very often the direct email you send is going to staff. It's not going directly to the minister. But no response at all is really unfortunate. Any response at least can minimize the upset, the frustration, the pain, and an explanation, even that's gravy on top of it all. But to not get any response is really frustrating. So I don't know. I mean, silence is never a good thing, no matter what.
No, and
go
they're
ahead.
not even getting automated responses. And even talking to some local businesses, they're relying on the people in these communities to keep their businesses going as well. And, I spoke to a lady who runs a business in Riverhead, and she gets about 30% of her business from down this area. So that's 30% of her business that could potentially be cut off. Not to mention if somebody goes over the road and the road collapses, they're going to end up in the ocean.
Yeah.
That's how bad it's gotten.
Look, there are a few roads like that are, needless to say, a little white knuckle. If you just happen to take, your tire takes this corner of the asphalt into the shoulder, you can, there's a lot of those with a long fall to the side of that, whether it's the ocean or whatever. I can think of just off the top of my head an incident that I had down on the Burin Peninsula last year. where, you know, one wrong little turn in the gravel and you're in the drink. I'm just trying to search it. I know we have the communities, and I don't want to get it wrong. The MHA for that area, do you know it off the...
It's Sherry Gambin Walsh.
Yes, it is Sherry. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was Potential West or Potential Bellevue. West or the other. Right. So it is Sherry Gambin Walsh's Liberal MHA. Any response from her specific?
No response from her either.
Okay. Well, this is the way to get a response.
It's time for somebody to give answers, and some definite answers, not just it's going to be done. It's when is it going to be done? Like, is the tender closed? Where was the tender published? Because it's not published on Merck's.
Well,
Sorry. There's too much not getting any answers. And again, you know, and there's a lot of committees here doing events to keep the seniors active. Like, since I've been here, I've been to a tea party, I've been to a sing-along, I've been to a craft day. And again, I've only been here from Saturday. And everybody's trying to keep the seniors active, but if they get cut off and they have no way to get into St. John's or any of the other communities to do anything, not to mention emergencies with it, you know, ambulance or fire trucks or anything, it's down to one lane and no road underneath it.
And there's too much traffic on it. Okay, well, it's out there, Doris. Thank you for the call. We'll put it out. And look, the MHA's name is there now. I'm sure her staff are listening. If someone's listening, it'll pass on the message, as well as the minister. If we can, as you said, just information, if nothing else.
Information, that's all we want. And then people know that it's going to get done, and they don't have to worry that they're going to get forgotten again.
Absolutely. Doris, thanks for the call. We await some kind of response. How long are you here?
I'm here until the 16th.
Okay, well, let's check back if you get a chance. Give me a shout before you head back on up to the Big Smoke, and because the roads aren't all that great this time in downtown Toronto either. I know that.
Oh, no, they're not much better up there.
Thanks for
sure.
All right, Doris, thank you for the call. Take care. All right, let's see if we can get some response on that. Let's go to line number 4, and Edward, you're on the air.
Yes, how are you doing today?
Goodbye. You're on speaker. Is there any way you can get on an actual line?
I'm here.
There you go. Thanks. Just so people can hear you better. Update on the stolen chainsaw. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, somebody stole my battery-operated chainsaw, and that was like 3 weeks ago. Anyway, I got a load of wood in the other day, and I'm having somebody else cut it because, you know, I'm waiting for another one, and it didn't come. So, but when the guy dropped off the wood on Monday, on Tuesday morning I went out to check on it, you know, and to cut it, you know, and to get it separate because I got a guy coming to cut it. There was the chainsaw. Somebody who stole it bought it back because when they stole the battery-operated chainsaw, it didn't have the charger on it. And if you go to Canadian Tire to buy a charger, it's $150 for the charger and another battery. So I guess with me going on open line a couple of weeks ago, everybody on the Burin Peninsula and everybody in Garnish knew about the chainsaw. So whoever had it, I guess they felt guilty or just, you know, they can't use it because everybody knows about it. They bought it back. And I want to thank VOCM and the RCMP. They came here and did a file and went around and canvassed the neighborhood, but they couldn't find anything. But I want to thank you guys for letting me vent my problems, and because of that, I think somebody bought it back and just dropped it off.
Yeah, it sounds like the joke was on them, and also they probably just couldn't afford the charging stuff and realized it's not just a bit of gas. And even gas these days, you might reconsider taking something.
That's why I have a gas I have a electric operated lawnmower which takes 2 of these batteries, and I have the chainsaw which takes 1 of the same batteries. So as I'm charging them in tandem, so I keep them each charged. But the thing is, I'm 80 years old, and I don't want to stand 2 feet away from a chainsaw that's bellowing out gas and oil fumes, or walk behind a gasoline lawnmower that's bellowing out gas and oil fumes. I mean, we got beautiful air here in Newfoundland. I mean, it's fresh salt air, and it's beautiful. You can breathe it, but why should you be out there cutting wood or mowing your lawn and breathing gas and oil fumes?
Couldn't agree more, Edward. I have an electric...
I just want to thank you guys for letting me vent myself. and I got my chainsaw back, and I'm really happy, and I think you guys are doing a real good job there. You really are. I mean, I've been listening to you guys for years, and I've been listening to you just lately. But anyway, I think you guys are doing a great job there.
I really appreciate it, and the fact that it worked for you is great. It's worked for others in the past. It's an incredible forum. Everybody's listening, and sometimes it piques the interest, and sometimes it returns. Sometimes it returns a chainsaw. I'd give anything to know that guy's name was Earl, and shout it out to Buddy Wass's name and the other fellers. Maybe they can put a new verse in that song, Chainsaw Earl. But look, it's great news that they brought it back, and either they had a guilty conscience, or they, as you said, just
couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah, just couldn't
the
wait.
battery in it was, it only had about, since I was using it, the batteries run about an hour to an hour and a half, depends on how you use it.
Yeah, gotcha.
But the battery that was in there was only had about a half an hour left on it, and the chain that was on it was the original chain, so it was there for 6 months.
Yeah.
But I bought a new chain, but I didn't put the new chain on yet.
Good. Well, look, everything for a reason. Hey, bud.
Yeah, everything for a reason. And everything worked out fine. And I still want to thank you guys for allowing me to vent myself.
Well, thanks for bringing it to our.
I think that was the one. That was the thing that bothered me, because too many people knew about it, and this guy just, holy mackerel, because you came over here early in the morning and put it here when it was still dark.
Sure, under cover of night. Oh my God. Yeah. Edward, thanks for the call, and thanks for the shout out. Look, it's the power of open line.
Okay.
That's it, and you've spelled it out right there, so thanks a lot.
Yeah, and thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, take care. All right, great call. Let's off to the news.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of VOCM Open Line. Have your say by calling 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626 and listen live weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
And welcome back to the show. Let's go right to line number 5. And Gary, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian Callahan.
How are you
doing?
Great, Gary Furlong. How are you?
Good. Listen, first of all, I want to congratulate you on your new job with Stingray.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. And now I'm the president of the Geraldine Rubio Centre located at 41 Shaw Street. And I guess it was in your news story, and I guess the general public is aware that last night there was a fire. It was in the warehouse in the back behind the Geraldine Rubio Centre. And our centre was affected not by fire, thank God, but it was more affected by the smoke damage. So I just want to give an update to the general public that as of today, all activities, rentals, and we had food takeout as well, they're all suspended until further notice.
Gary, can you just remind everyone what great work that the Geraldine Rubio Centre does?
Well, the Geraldine Rubio Centre, it's a centre for adults with special needs in the community. We offer, all kinds of activities at the centre Monday to Friday for adults with special needs, and it is a great place for adults with special needs. They are they all participate in all the programs, and the best thing about it as well is the centre is actually run 100% by volunteers. There's no paid employees whatsoever, and our membership is superb. It's right up there. We're almost up to the maximum amount that we're allowed to have in there. So it's a great place for adults with special needs, and they enjoy it. And it's going to be missed for the next little while, but I can't give you a date when it's going to reopen. But right now, I'm just working on getting somebody in to professionally clean it so we can get back at the regular activities and programs that we do offer.
Do we know what happened? What caused this yesterday?
No, I'm not privy to any of that information. I think it's still under investigation, so I can't tell you any information about it.
Just generally, what else is in that building there? Sorry, Gary, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, no, that's okay. Now, in the front of the building, closer to the street, is the Rubio Centre, and behind the adjoined to the centre is a warehouse that is owned and operated by Smith Stockley. That's where they keep all their supplies.
Right.
That's where the fire actually happened in the back.
Right, and the smoke, and you were mostly affected by the smoke damage, but
absolutely.
Okay, gotcha. So how long again? Just to recap, what's the situation?
Right now, I was talking to a professional cleaning company today, and I have to call them back to figure out they got to come down, see what's involved, and when they can start and kind of when they can finish it. So I just want to let the people know, because we do rent out the centre on weekends as well. And we do have a couple of rentals coming up, so if you're listening, give me a call at 722-4338 if you have the centre rental, and we will try to pick another date so we can accommodate your rental. But before I go, I just want to thank VOCM, first of all, for putting up the news story. I also would like to thank the St. John's Regional Fire Department for the very quick response. Smith Stockley have been superb in treating the Geraldine Rubio Centre. It's just amazing how much they do for the adults with special needs, right? And I just a couple more things. I'll try to make it quick. I got an email last night from MHA District, Jamie Corrad, and he's going to try to help us as much as he can. I got a call from Tom Babcock. He is with the Hub, and he wants me to give him a call. And also I want to say thank you as well before I go to Ron Keats, who helped me last night kind of get rid of some of the smoke inside, and Eric Dunn. He actually stayed in the building last night and kind of allowed all the smoke to escape with the doors open and the windows open. So thank you very much for that, guys.
Well, that's a great call out. Just acknowledging all the people that are doing things like this. These thanks go a long way.
I can't believe how many emails, how many texts, I just phone calls, said, wow, I couldn't believe it. And you know what? It's fantastic, right? It's really nice to know that there's people out there who care for adults with special needs. So God bless. Thanks. Important
to know that. Gary Furlong with Geraldine Rubio Centre. Thanks so much, Gary. I'm sure you'll be contacting any of your clients, and I'm sure a lot of ears were on that this morning. So good luck. Hopefully back to normal in no short time.
Thank you.
Great. Take care. All right. Break up. Let's see. Let's go right to line number 4. Right. And Tony Fang, the professor of economics, professor and Stephen Jaroslawski Chair in Cultural and Economic Transformation. I can't believe I spit all that out without tripping over it. Tony, you're on the air.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. We are very pleased to host an exciting international conference on AI, future skills, and productivity at Memorial University today and tomorrow. Okay, and the conference will discuss various different kind of topics, including AI adoption, employment trend, responsible AI, cybersecurity, skill gaps, immigration, and so on. We bring in leading scholars, industry experts, and policymakers to examine how AI is reshaping productivity, workforce skills, and workplace culture worldwide, including Newfoundland and Labrador. So we have a lineup of keynote speakers who are well positioned to speak on those opportunities and challenges AI brought forth to us, including Anya Arora, who is the former chief statistician of Stats Canada and now adjunct professor at Harvard Kennedy School. We also have Professor Wendy Sukir, who is the founder of Diversity Institute at Toronto Metropolitan University, and Professor Richard Freeman, who is the chair professor of economics at Harvard University, and also Daniel Hamimesh, who is the chair professor at University of Texas, Austin. So we welcome participation in the conferences, both in person and also online. And the first day conference venue would be in the Amara Innovation Exchange Conference Center on our Signal Hill campus. And day 2 will be held on main campus at Gushu Hall, DH2002. And so on the day 2, we're going to also have 2 public lectures. Okay, very exciting topic again. The first one will be given by Professor Richard Freeman from Harvard. And, his lecture title is Income, Ownership, and Employment in the Age of AI Capital. Okay, the second lecture will be given by Professor Daniel Hamimesh on a topic that he had done decades of research on, which is so-called beauty economics. The lecture title is Beauty Pays. I think both of them are quite exciting, and that starts from day 2, which is tomorrow, from 2 to 4 p.m.
Wow, that's a lot. Tony, look, there is so much I want to go into on this, and I'm right up to a point where we do have to just step away for a moment. Can you hang on for one moment? We'll take that short interruption and come right back. I got a few questions. Given the backdrop and given everything that's happening in the AI world, I didn't want to let you go without fielding a couple of questions from me. So do you have a minute to hold on?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get right back to you. And Dave, we'll come right back with Tony Fang in a moment. And welcome back to the show. And we thank Tony Fang, with economics professor at MUN, of course, down at the AI Future Skills and Productivity International Conference at MUN. And Tony, I'd be remiss. This conference is happening against the backdrop of, I don't know what to call it, a maelstrom of AI issues, topics, controversy. I mean, we just saw yesterday that the privacy commissioners across the country, 3 provinces, and the federal OpenAI didn't respect Canadian privacy laws when it trained ChatGPT. So we've got those controversies. We have issues from all over the world, not the least of which, one of the biggest ones that shook a lot of people, was the issue with the Anthropic and the Pentagon, and labeling it blacklisted Anthropic, really, call it a supply chain risk, and trying to avoid the autonomous weapons and mass surveillance that can come with AI. Of all the experts that you listed just before the break that we have speaking, your keynote speakers, is there any of them that disagree that this has gotten a little bit away from us?
Well, this is the, issues that the AIs, although it's kind of emerging technologies, but, it's evolving over time, right?
Evolving kind of ahead of us, but sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, it can, many ways can improve efficiency, productivity, but also there's a number of concerns you raised about, right? About privacy, about regulation, about, cybersecurity. Those are topics will be actually the feature of the conference, right? Mm-hmm. And the issue there is that really we need to, pay attention to it and get ahead of the technological changes, and getting the workers and the students, managers ready, right, for this new wave of technological change and skill requirements. Okay, and I think that's the key message we can get from this international conference.
How much modeling are we doing? Well, as far as the provincial government, but the provincial view goes, are you looking at where we're going and where it's going specifically, or is this more of an international view of where the world is going? Like, are we doing any modeling to see, what kind of, how AI is being used to project where we should be going with, whether it's our economy, whether or not it's our industries, whether or not it's, is it being used to that extent?
Well, this is, we were talking about, right, different kind of models, applications that will be used by our, workers and employers and so on, but we also would like to, kind of highlight, right, the future skills, okay, and what are the skills required by the employers in the future, and how that affects organization performance, productivity, and so on, how that will be relevant to Newfoundland and Labrador, for example, right? And in many ways, for give you one example, we are a relatively smaller province with small population, okay, right? So we have experienced, chronic labor skill shortages, and we're also being impacted by technological changes, especially in our key industries like ocean technology, education, healthcare, energy, and business. So it's very important for the province, the provincial government, and also the local employers, the educational institution to know what we can capitalize on this emerging technology, AI, to improve productivity, and at the same time, field labor skill shortages support economic growth. So this is really about conversation, not only for the challenge we're facing now, but also, what kind of utilities and challenges we're going to face in the future, right? So it's more future-oriented.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, and the reason I ask is because, when you have education reports coming out, we know government are using it sort of, and I'll use the word haphazardly, only because I can't get a clear answer to what extent, percentage-wise, example-wise, whatever it is, of how much each department of our provincial government, let alone other governments, but our provincial government here, especially considering like the education report that came out last year with the clear, the fake citations that were clearly AI generated, it makes people concerned that the people who are at the controls right now, that AI is kind of running them instead of the other way around.
That's exactly the case. And, a lot of time we just using AI as kind of, handy tools, but we haven't thought about more strategically, right? Would it be, the benefits and also the risk involved using AI? So it's kind of interesting that, coming out from the educational report a year ago, one of the key recommendation is to, use AI responsibly. Right? When you have the issue about, this fabricated references, possibly coming from AI, so which make people wondering, whether you walk the talk, right? You have done this study and the literature review, but the issue there is that, people really read those side articles. If you read, of course, that wouldn't happen because I couldn't find them, right, in a reference list. So I think this issue is that really we have to kind of weigh in both the utility, right, for efficiency and productivity, but on the other hand, the potential risk, right, for the government, for the organization, for educators as well. We bear some responsibility, too.
For children, for the education system. I mean, look, it reaches all around, and I wonder about the brain drain, the laziness that can be, that can come hand in hand with this, because if you can just type it in instead of back in the day when we actually had to look it up and understand it, and if it's doing it for you, then you're not doing the work to understand it. There's a copy and paste mentality going on where, even in high schools, they'll tell you we use it at our leisure because it's not the same learning. And there are organizations and governments around the world, and it's happening more and more, that they're throwing the AI out the window, whether it's smart devices or anything in the classroom, and they're actually returning to book smart people. In other words, and I don't mean just book smart as in you don't understand how the real world works, but book smart as in actually is still investigating these questions ourselves as opposed to letting a computer do it and we don't second guess it. I mean, the risk seems to be certainly outweighing the excitement for me.
Well, I think it's a fine balance we need to work through, right? I don't think we can simply kind of forget about AI, let's kind of throw the baby out of the bath.
Oh, no, certainly not. Right? Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Not suggesting we forget about it, but certainly be so much more careful with it, as you pointed out.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. And unfortunately, this is kind of gray areas where there's lack of regulation. Right, and though a lot of countries like the EU, there's the actual recently introduced a new kind of AI, strategy or AI regulation. So I think many countries are kind of pondering whether they should follow, some kind of the trend. But the meantime, I think really. That's what I said. The government, the employers, educators should be more proactive. Right, in thinking ahead of term, how we prepare our students and our, employees, right, to use AI more, creatively and strategically, and also more responsibly.
Appropriately,
right?
Yeah, appropriately. I think covers it. Yeah, because strategic can mean. Strategic is a scary word when it comes to AI because, yes, you could probably find ways to do things cheaper. And right now, the answer to all our questions is money. So that's primarily where AI, that and social media and the dark web. We saw what happened in Tumbler Ridge in BC, where OpenAI was directly involved. And we know the risks. So it just seems that the word appropriate seems to come to mind the most, only in the sense of, if we're doing it to make things more efficient and cheaper to run, then that's not the priority here. The safety should be the priority and the risks that come with it.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, this is kind of fine balance. Really, it works. Depend on who we talk to, right? If we talk to employers, my understanding is that it's probably more weighing on the bottom line business, right? In terms of efficiency, productivity, and profit, and so on and so forth. That's the reason why there are, mass layoffs, right? Being launched by a lot of companies, right? They simply replacing warm bodies with AI and robots, right? And, because robots never demand for high wages or AI or, working overtime and so on and so forth, right? There's certain kind of strategic advantage, I guess you could say, for employers to use AI. But on the other hand, we got rigorous regulation. There are potential loopholes and risk, right, and challenges organizations are facing. Because this is something that we should pay attention to. The other one I would say is that, there's a lot of anxiety and, towards using of AI, potential risk you just mentioned, and privacy consideration. So we also need to highlight that what would be the relative, strengths for AI and what would be the relative advantage for humans, okay? And simply because AI has certain kind of, advantage doesn't mean that the human skills won't be valuable, okay? And this is based on our survey, national survey, 1,700 firms across Canada, right, about desirable future skills, okay? The human skills like digital literacy on the top, but followed by soft skills like adaptability, communication skills, creativity, something you mentioned a little bit earlier, leadership, critical thinking remain very, very important.
Tony, look, I wish there's a whole show here, but I want to thank you for the time more than anything, just for calling to make sure, not just to, make people understand that this international conference on AI, future skills and productivity is happening at MUN today and tomorrow, but we just need to talk about it, and we need to keep talking about it, and it needs to be one of the top conversations we're always having, because in every aspect of life, it's invading it right now. So, but look, I appreciate it. Good luck with the conference. Thanks for the chat, and I look forward to more of it.
Thank you very much for promoting the event to your audiences. I hope to see more of them would actually be attending the conference, either in person or virtually.
Absolutely. Good luck with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Yeah, and we got the dates right. So 7th and 8th is the program today, and the itinerary is all there on the website as well, Memorial University's website. Let's see. Well, let's go. We're into the home stretch, final half hour. We'll come back with Wayne, who doesn't have faith in government leadership, right after the break.
The Tim Powers Show. Join the conversation weekday afternoons at 4 p.m. on your VOCM.
And welcome back to the show and the final half hour. Let's go to Wayne on line 2. You're on the air.
Hello, Brian.
Morning, Wayne.
Congratulations on your new position.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Well, why I called, I'm just very concerned. I'm a senior citizen, and I'm not political, but I'm looking at what's going on, with the situation we have with this moratorium and Churchill Falls. And it seems to me that Premier VOCM is passing the buck to everybody rather than himself. You know what I mean? He's got lawyers working on it. I mean, we never voted for lawyers to make decisions. We voted on a PC government, and Premier VOCM as a leader should be taking the bull by the horns and moving on with this, some kind of a deal that's good for Newfoundland and get some cash coming in to help us in the situation that we're in now, because we're in a desperate situation. We're up to our debt, paying out $1 billion in debt just in Newfoundland, and we need an influx of cash coming in to help us out right now. We don't need it 50 years down the road. We don't know what's going to happen 50 years down the road or longer. We need it now. We really need it now. We need it for everything. We need it for healthcare. We need it for education. We need it for everything that put Newfoundland back on an even keel or close to an even keel, where the people can feel contented. And we got a light. There's a light at the end of the road there, a little light. And we need someone, and it should be Premier Wakeham, to go with it, with this deal that we might be able to help us and give Newfoundland a good deal, and the people would have something to look forward to. You know what I mean?
I do.
And that's how I feel. And I don't know if I'm right or wrong or what. We had a government that put us into this mess. We had a government, we know all about it. We know what happened. And now we need a good, strong leader, a government, not a bunch of lawyers, not a bunch of this, because a lot of this is just common sense. Common sense. And you don't have to be a professor to know what common sense is.
Yeah, and you don't, as you said right off the top, Wayne, you're not political, and that's a key part of this. And, people say, oh, yeah, sure. Well, look, people, you're just not going to sway them. They have their own mindset. The people who are political, they won't be swayed. It's better not to be and to keep your open mind as you have. And you're not right or wrong, whatever you feel. If that's what you're feeling, then there's no right or wrong to that. There's just the way you feel, and there's certainly no wrong to it. Look, I don't begrudge the government for doing the due diligence. I mean, we need, obviously, to get the best information we can to find out if this is the best deal we can get for the time we're in. And look, that'll always be the subjective question, isn't it, out in the open? Who decides at the end of the day if this is or isn't the best deal? Right now we have two parties yelling at each other that the previous deal was the one on the table is the best one, and we have the current government saying, we don't think so. At least that's the feeling I get, although the Premier says he hasn't made up his mind, and he's already gone through the report. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of this stuff, you know what I mean? It's just unbelievable what's going on. There's something I heard there the other day or recently that we got lawyers hired on, two top lawyers hired on, and they don't even know what they're paying them. They don't, the government, the Premier and the Deputy Premier don't even know what the money is going out to pay them. You know what I mean? Where's the transparency? You know what I mean? It just makes me feel that these people are not working for the Newfoundland people. Newfoundland people need help now. We need help. And we need it everywhere.
I don't really...
Especially, look, if someone done a documentary of the emergency services into our hospitals, my good God, if someone done a survey on that and come out, the people wouldn't believe. People going in there and having to wait 8 and 10 hours and 12 hours. And some people go in there and having to come out of it because he couldn't be looked at. You know what I mean? Why can't people know that we need an influx of cash now to help us out in our problems that we're having?
Yeah,
that's what gets me.
When 42 or 43% of our budget is healthcare, there's cash going into it. And again, there's been a total. We've had to reorganize and relook. The health accord was all designed towards that. I just, there's some comments that people do make sometimes, and I know it's out of frustration. And look, and the government brings it on themselves in many ways without communication, without the transparency and openness that they promised. Ergo, the current situation with the two lawyers, Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Coffey, who were hired on. We're just getting precious little information, and after the fact, 4 months after the fact. So you can't blame the public for being a little bit upset and skeptical when that sort of stuff happens. Why keep it a secret? And look, and again, I said it off the top, the fact that neither the Premier nor the Deputy Premier could tell me what the salary is, and they're directing us to other areas. I think it's just a legitimate question. Put it out there and let us deal with it. But keeping it secret for 4 months, just the way they did with the Des Whalen appointment, you can say that it came from a different MCP pot, whatever. But just be open, and if there's nothing to see here, then there shouldn't be any problem with that. The other comment you made about you don't think they care. Look, I have no doubt that every single one of the member of government cares, and the opposition. They care what happens to the province and what happens to our healthcare system and what happens to all the issues that we have facing us. So I don't even, I don't doubt that either. I don't want to go down that road. I get emails telling me that I'm this and that and the other thing. I'm just, as you said, trying to see it through a common sense lens that says communication and openness and transparency, which was what was promised, is not being delivered right now, let alone all the other things that people are waiting for that were supposed to be in the budget.
That's correct. That's very, very true. And Brian, I'll tell you this, that if we don't get some kind of a deal out of this situation with Churchill Falls, okay, to me, it would be one of the greatest disasters that Newfoundland ever made. Now, I'm going to tell you that. That's how I feel about it.
Well,
and I'm just an ordinary person trying to look after the people of Newfoundland and Newfoundland itself. And we got an opportunity. If we got an opportunity to help out and make things better for us, we should do it. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, Wayne, I agree. We look at.
I hope Premier Wakeham got the go ahead and the determination to lead Newfoundland when we need a good, strong leader now. And I'll tell you, we need a strong leader. We didn't vote for anybody else, only him and his government. And we need a leader now that can take us out of the mess that we're in. And he's got an opportunity, and if he balls it up, I don't think the people of Newfoundland will ever forgive him. Anyway, Brian, that's all I got to say. I don't visit Open Line very much, but...
Well, I appreciate you visiting today, Wayne, and I really do, because you're speaking for a lot of people who are looking at their bank account the way they want the government to look at their bank account and say, this could help us right now and get us out of a mess and relieve a lot of stress and tension and whatever. But, and whether or not there's a better deal out there, it's all, that's going to... Yeah,
Brian, we don't want a bad deal. I don't think Newfoundland is going to go into any negotiations and come up with a bad deal. I really don't think so. Yep. I don't think what happened in '69 is going to happen, because if we had good lawyers in '69 when they done the deal, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in now. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Got it, Wayne.
Now there's lawyers for you.
Yep.
Okay? And I don't want to be dependent. I never voted for lawyers to come in to run this country. I voted for a government and a leader to take us where we should be going.
You got it.
And we need someone that's very, very strong to do that.
Wayne, I think...
We don't need...
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, thanks for the call. Really got to get off. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you. Take care. Don't be a stranger at all. Let's take one more little pause here, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the show. Let's go to Sarah on line number 3. You're on the air.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for calling the show. So, speed dating. Tell me all about it.
Yes, so I host a local podcast called Newfound Happy Hour, and something I talk about a lot is relationships, and from that, I started hosting local speed dating events, so host them at local venues, supporting local and everything, and been doing that for the past year. So tomorrow we have a ages 50 to 60 speed dating at Wooden Walls downtown. We also have a singles mixer for ages 55 plus. That's at the Wild West Tavern on Topsail Road. And then we also rotate age groups, so everything from ages 19 to 65 plus. I'm always hosting an event every couple weeks. Just wanted to spread the word on that.
How long have you been doing this again? Like, when did the mood strike you?
It was February of last year, so I've been hosting those since then.
So why do you find people are, for lack of a better term, hooking up or want to hook up these days, to get into relationships, go speed dating? I just find the economy these days has changed the water on the beams. Some people are single and they can't afford to be single. I mean, are people legitimately looking for love, or are they looking for help paying the bills?
I actually haven't heard many people talk about the economic situation for being single, but that is a real thing. No, most people are just looking for real connection. I think since the pandemic, a lot of people don't have as much social connection as they used to, and not as many outlets to meet people. And a lot of people are sick of the dating apps. So in every age group, from men and women, that's what I hear, is that everyone is sick of the apps and meeting people online and anonymously meeting people online. So everyone has been really liking having more of a sense of community and just meeting even just new friends and new single friends to have that. If all your friends are in relationships and you aren't on the apps or you don't go to bars, it can be really hard to meet new people.
Yeah, it's like Bruce Springsteen said, the human touch. You know, a human connection as opposed to, and the dating apps are, I'm sorry, for the most part, a cesspool. The chatbots and everything else, you don't know really if you're communicating with the real person. And it's just, there's a lot of risk, you know, in the age of AI and the reasons people are seeking out other people and the scams that are going on and all that sort of thing. It would seem like speed dating in person would be brilliant right now. A throwback to, as you said, you know, the seclusion we were all going through for a few years there, and I don't want to even think about that again. But yeah, so the uptake is good.
Yeah, so surprisingly, even the younger generation, like I had a 19 to 29 age group event, and that sold out. My 20 to 30, 30 to 40 events usually sell out, but it's the 40 plus. We do tend to have a lot of women interested, but always looking for more men. So normally when I call you guys, I do get a few more people. So I just encourage everyone, especially men, to, you know, buy a ticket, come with a friend, and at the very least, you're supporting a local business and just having a night out of the house.
Yeah, and there's always a little bit of uncertainty and maybe trepidation about going into one of these things. Can you take me through it? So I got a ticket. I'm a man. I'm going in. I'm a single guy. I'm saying, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. What happens when you get to the door?
Yeah, so all you need to do is buy a ticket. You can do that on eventbrite.ca. I also have some social media pages for Speed Dating NL. You can find it all there. But once you have a ticket, you just show up, you get a drink, I'll give you a form, and everything is planned for you. So you're assigned a table, and all the people who are there, you get 5 minutes or so with each person. So that's all organized for you. All you have to do is write down the people that you'd like to match with. So that means that you'd like to see them again or get in contact with them. And if 2 people say yes to each other, I send out emails the next day with each other's contact information. So they can kind of take it from there, but you do have to say yes to someone to get a match.
Right. And what kind of advice do you give them, like question-wise? Like, what do you find? I mean, have you seen it happen in the moment? The sparks?
Yeah, for sure. So another thing is that it's also, like I said, it is guided, so you really don't have to do anything to prepare. I guide everybody through it. We also draw for gift cards halfway through. We take a break, draw a gift card for the venue that I'm hosting at. But there's also question cards on the table. So for people who are really nervous and find that they have trouble making conversation, there are conversation cards that they can use as well. And yeah, I have had people find relationships from this. I'm always trying to figure out like how many people. Not everyone tells me, but then sometimes I'll have people attend an event where they say like their brother has been in a relationship for the past 6 months from someone that they met at speed dating. And so yeah, there are definitely relationships that have come from it.
All right, so give us the wheres and whens again right now, and just, I know you've repeated, but people sometimes get lost in the conversation, didn't copy it down, and they can always call us here for that information, or go right online, and I'll let you now go for it. Where all the information, and then how you get a ticket. I'll give you one more go for it, just in case people missed it.
Yeah. Yep, so you can grab a ticket from eventbrite.ca if you just search Speed Dating NL, and then you can also find all other information. I post match stats, like how many people at each event have gotten a match, and just upcoming events. So that's on Facebook and Instagram as well at Speed Dating NL. The podcast Instagram is Newfound Happy Hour. But yeah, you can find any upcoming events there. Tomorrow night, the event is at Wooden Walls downtown for ages 50 to 60. And that is, at Wooden Walls tomorrow night. And then Tuesday, May 11th at Wild West Tavern, there's a 55 plus singles mixer. I also have some LGBTQ events coming up and some events at Nine Penny and CBS and at Legends Lounge out in Gander. So there's enough interest now that I'm expanding to other cities, which is nice. But you can find all that on the social media. It's at Speed Dating NL.
That's great. Sarah, look, Sarah Ozon with Speed Dating NL. Thanks for the call. Thanks for the update. Anytime you want to promote this, we all need that human touch, human connection. So this is a great idea, and I'm glad to see it's onward and upward for you. Thanks again very much.
For sure. Thanks so much.
Okay,
Bye.
take care. Bye. All right, we're just about to call it a day for this Thursday here on Open Line. Just a reminder again, tomorrow. There hasn't been a lot of live music on this show in the last little while, and it won't be a big change here, but at least for tomorrow, we're going to put a live tune on the air, the Open Line song. If you want to hear it, tune in tomorrow. I'm not sure when we're going to play it yet. We'll see how the time goes and the callers, because the callers are always more important. Probably closer to the end of the show. We'll see. But we will debut the Open Line song here on Open Line tomorrow. There's never been one. Hope you like it. We'll play it live tomorrow. Make sure you tune in for that. One little shout out here, too. I see my friends down at Troublebound Studio are having their St. John's Tattoo Convention, May 16th to 17th at the Remax Center. I got a call yesterday about that one, looking for a little plug. That's at the St. John's Tattoo Convention Center. St. John's Tattoo Convention.com. And that's being put off by Troublebound Studios. Extremely proud to be hosting the 10th annual. And that's May the 16th to the 18th. And one last one. Somebody asked me to put this on. The Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 12, hosting in Grand Falls, Windsor, hosting a moose burger and soup sale. And that's coming up in, let's see, that's May 23rd. Well, I'm a little ahead of the time. I thought there was an urgency to this one. But $4 for a burger, $4 for soup, and anytime you can support the Canadian Legions and the branches around the province, that is great stuff. And one more that somebody asked me, and we have so many of these that we come in, and I'm always out of time, but I wanted to make some time today. Let's see. Yeah, that's also Branch 12. Okay, I'm Grand Falls, Windsor. Same meeting. All right, that'll do it for today. Dave, thank you very much. Dave Williams back there once again. Man, that was a busy morning. So yeoman's work by Dave Williams back here. And yes, I am the new host of Open Line. I appreciate all the kind words, all the support, and all the encouragement, even from you who aren't that sure yet. Yeah, you'll come around. Drive safely, everyone. Arrive alive. VOCM cares.